Howdy, y'all.
That just came out of nowhere. Go ahead and finish, sir.
Welcome to another. Can you talk? Welcome to another episode of Unstoppable.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable. Unstoppable. With the lovely Vixen here, Lady Victoria.
Lady Victoria.
And old Chippy.
Chippy.
As my daughter called me. Hi, y'all. I'm Michael. And I chipped my tooth today. And, I don't know. They're making fun of me.
No, I didn't make fun of you. I didn't think anything of it.
Really?
Yeah. Really.
You said, I have to see my daughter's face.
When you tell her, because the two of you fund any tiny little thing and go balls to the wall about it. And so this was going to be just huge for her, but I didn't say anything. She did.
I smiled at her and she could not contain her hysteria.
She had a contagious
smile. Right. Okay. Yes. So, yeah. This morning while eating breakfast on the way to work, I chipped my tooth. Isn't that something?
That's something. Chip out the old block.
Kids, brush your teeth. Listen to your parents. And that's going to be a topic for tonight, parents and kids.
Yes. So, first and foremost, let's get real. We're going to put trigger announcements all over this. Trigger. So, just be forewarned. I was just beside myself when I learned that a woman in Atlanta was found guilty, which she should have been, on all counts. But knowing the judicial system, she's not going to serve any time. I mean, if she does, it'll be minimal. Like, she's not going to, okay, let go. So it's just really hard for me to say.
Okay, let me say it.
Okay, because it really makes me almost sick.
This is the subject, y'all. The woman put her 2 kids in the oven.
And turned it on.
And
said she came home and they were like that. And I mean, she was calm, cool, and collective. And she said that she came home like that. She even freaking FaceTimed with her baby daddy, showing him the kids. And she's like, look, his brain's like all over the place. And oh my God, like, I would give anything to have 10 of Faith. Like, I'd have 10 of our daughter in a New York minute. And this, I can't put her in my category as a woman. Goes and puts them
I can imagine
the oven and turns it on. Turns it on.
The mentality of this. You know, the monstrosity that lives within her, that is her.
But she'll come up with some bullshit, whatever. Yeah. And literally, she's not gonna serve any time. You know, the thing is that these kids were beautiful. They were 1 and 2, I believe, have a life sentence of not living a life. Like, they've been killed, right? So I'm sorry. What if she gets, I don't know what her sentence is, but I know she's guilty. So let's just say, because of our judicial system, she gets 10 years because then she's out for good time. Right? 10 years is bullshit. I'm sorry.
She's well taken care of.
She gets 3 squares a day, health insurance, education, a roof over her head.
No bills to pay.
Right. And then what do these kids get? I mean, yes, they get the freedom of not being, to this witch, but seriously, like, I'm sorry, I'm getting more and more just about sentencing, because if you kill these beautiful kids, I don't think you should be able to, like, have a slap on the wrist and go about your day and, oh, you'll be out in 10 or maybe 6 in good behavior and you can go back to your life. What about the kids? Like, what about the kids? Right? Like, that girl, and I'm so upset right now, I can't think of her name, who killed her daughter. Is it Casey? I can't think of her name. But she killed her kid, and she went to jail, and now she wants to have another one. And it's okay, apparently, for her to have another one. If you are found guilty without a shadow of a doubt hardcore proof that you killed your kid. And I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this. I know I am. But you know what? That's fine. Nobody's walked in my shoes. They don't know what I, as a mom, have been through to ensure that my child, our daughter, lived another day, right? I mean, I lived in that hospital bed with her every night, every day that she was. If you kill your kid, right? Maybe Trump will put me in the cabinet. You should not be able to have more children. Tell me why certain states, if you're a pedophile, they chemically castrate you. I mean, is that going to stop you from pedophilia? No. Is it going to slow you down? Maybe, until you figure out another path to it. So how come you can get chemically castrated, but these bitches that are out there freaking killing their kids?
That's the same concept.
They need,
Yes.
we have to neuter and spay our pets, and they don't kill their offspring. So why do these heffalumps get to breed again after deciding to take the life of an individual that didn't ask to be here to begin with?
I don't understand something. Did the article say that the stove was found laying on top of the kids?
The oven. It must have been it was some kind. I don't understand it either. But yeah, the oven was on top of their head, and it was on Friday the 13th.
So,
but it was this really happened.
They were placed in the oven.
Yeah.
The oven was turned on with heat, but yet.
And they exploded. God, I'm so sorry.
The oven exploded.
Yes.
Right.
And they were fully alive when they went in. They weren't knocked unconscious. They weren't, killed beforehand. They went in living and breathing, beautiful, gorgeous kids.
And the other brother saw the mom do this?
Oldest son, who they did not disclose his age, or it didn't in the article I read, actually saw it and had to testify against his mom.
Saw mom put his
But
brothers.
He didn't know what to do. He was little.
Sure.
I mean, the mom at the time was 24. So he was a little boy. They said he was young. But he did see mom do this. And for, holy crap, he probably hid, not knowing what else to do. But he watched and saw it. And he called 911. And you wonder what's wrong with this world. You have people who would give everything to have a child.
Right.
And they would treat that child like the angel and miracle that they are. Then you have these morons who literally, it's okay for them. And they just Sarah Smith in South Carolina. Her boyfriend didn't want to date someone who had kids. So she put them all in the car and drove them over let the car go over a bridge and underwater, and they drowned. And she watched it. And now they're going to give her early parole. Are you serious? Now she wants to marry some guy she met on some dating app, whatever. And now more and more prisoners are getting access to tablets that they can get them if they can somehow come up with $20 a month. Then they get a tablet now.
$20 a month?
Yeah, off the books. Nothing. Right. If they can have $20 on the books. I know that on 60 Days In, they were doing a show with Fulton County, which everybody knows that's the jail that unfortunately Trump had to go into. And Fulton County has all sorts of issues in Atlanta, Georgia. But the show 60 Days In showed the male and the general pop, and they were authorized to get tablets. If they had $20 a month on their books, then they get these tablets, and then they have to turn back in when they need to be recharged or whatever. And they have access to Wi-Fi and all that crap. I mean, do we need to fluff their pillows too? It's jail. It's jail. And they're like, oh, it's inhumane, and they're in a cage, and they're just treated horrifically. Well, what about the victims? What about the people that they hurt, they killed, they maimed, they raped? You know what? If it was someone in your family, or let's go further, if it was someone you love, you wouldn't be upset that these individuals are in there. But why should they be able to get on online dating? Then they have all these people, when a serial killer goes into jail, Holy crap! All these people are offering marriage and children and congregational visits to these people. And it's like, are you serious? Put them in a hole, shut the door, slide the tray underneath, and I'll see you when my great great grandkids come in there and find your corpse when they come in as a jailer. Peace. Like, seriously? Can I wipe your ass for you too? Do you need 2-ply toilet paper? This is bullshit. And
You were so loud.
I'm sorry. It pisses me off. These kids did nothing wrong. They didn't ask to be born. They come into this world and all they want is to be loved. And the only thing you wanted to do is set it at 350. And I'm sorry, put her ass in the chair. Don't give her lethal injection because it's inhumane. Well, fuck that. Sorry.
Wow.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I always put that it's explicit. But I'm sorry. They, lethal injection. Okay, $1 million question. If lethal injection is inhumane, what the shit is cooking your kids? What is it? Is that inhumane?
We were talking about it the other night. The punishment should fit the crime.
Okay, but cooking your kids is not justifiable, and then lethal injection is inhumane? Really? Yeah. There's 17 states in the United States that do corporal punishment still. You have a mom that cooked your kids, go in the electric chair, don't do the wet sponge on the head so, it doesn't fry the hair. Do not put the blinder over the eyes because then it keeps the eyeballs in the eye socket. Don't give them anything to bow and bite down into so they don't split their tongue in half. Let them bite that bitch in half. Turn it on slow, just like anything else. Cook it a little bit, cook it a little bit more, cook a little bit more. Hey, are you sweating? Let me throw some water your way while you're getting electrocuted. Let me make this as painful for you as you did for those two beautiful kids that did nothing wrong that you decided to cook for whatever the hell reason you malfunctioned for. I'm sorry. I'm pissed. Go ahead.
You're not sorry.
Go ahead. I'm just, that angers me. Nobody is speaking for those kids. I will. I'll speak for those kids.
Y'all see why I love this woman.
I'm pissed.
She is awesome.
I'm pissed.
And you mothers out there, even fathers, I know y'all are in the same boat with her.
Oh, I get slack all the time when I make strong stances. People write to me and say, you are really harsh on some of your beliefs. I get that. People write me that.
It's okay. You have that right.
You know what? When that happens to them, I bet they don't.
Yeah.
And while we're on the subject, here's another one. So, as we've all stated numerous times, when Faith was in the hospital, neither side of our plan, if you will,
Family.
I don't like that word sometimes.
I will.
I made it very clear that, and Michael has said the same thing, that we're very happy with the unity of what we have than with the headache and drama that we keep out, right? I mean,
correct.
It's ridiculous. So when these, give me a word.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what to call them.
When these, I don't know what to call them, go and do not reach out to one of the sweetest, if not the sweetest, because everybody thinks their kid is the sweetest, most giving, loving, deserving individual who has fought her entire life to be on this planet, has given her life to help others from the jump. She is always advocating for others. She's always talking to others, helping others, just being there for others. She has the most amazing spirit. Anyone who gets around her just falls in love with her instantly. And then these others, we can't come up with a name like this. That's what I'm going to call them since that's what my husband came up with. Doesn't even reach out, not a text message, an email, a message on Facebook, nothing, not a phone call, not nothing. And knows that she literally, how many times did we almost lose her? Dozens.
Yes.
Dozens. We were in complete organ failure. She was on dialysis. We were at the point where we just had a doctor's appointment today, and the doctor told her that, I was ready to go and say, hey, whatever you need out of me, get it. Kidney, whatever, take it. Let's go right now. And he was like, your mom was out of it. Let's go. Because she was in complete organ failure. And they didn't so much as even reach out to see how she was doing. And let's not forget, it was during the holidays. So it was over Christmas, it was over New Year's, and not a word out of their mouth. Any of them. None. On either side.
How many of y'all can relate to that?
But here's the $1 million question. Now, some of them are getting much up there in age, right?
Yep.
Who's going to take care of them? They don't think about that when they're being selfish and they treat others that way. But you know what? If something happened to them and we didn't reach out, holy crap. You know, what's good for the goose is not good for their gander, because they're going to pitch a holy crap about why. You know, I'm the whoever in the family. You're supposed to, you know, be there and yada, yada, yada. Well, you know what? Could you, if one of them can, let's say, whomever you're going to name them,
Sure.
because you can't, whatever, who somebody else reached out and said, you need to contact somebody else. That individual didn't reach out themselves. They sent it through like snail mail messenger, right? And my husband and I were talking about this. If that person said to you, not that we think any of them would apologize, I'm sorry, would you take it back knowing that this is going to happen again? Would you take them back?
No, they have a long line of apologies to start with.
But you yourself said you would never believe that it would be authentic.
It won't be.
But you know,
only because they want something.
Right. And we're talking about both sides of the family, yes?
Yes.
We're not just talking about one side. But I don't know how you do that to kids. You know, you could be pissed off, pissed on, whatever. But when it comes to a kid, that's a whole different game, right? That's a whole different situation. Why would you ever treat a child that way is beyond my understanding. I can't grasp it.
You're supposed to show love and kindness to your kids or grandkids, you know, and especially if they're going through a procedure, a surgery, something that's traumatizing, that's scary, you know, reach out to them. Just find out how they're doing. Show them that you care. Show them, you know, some sympathy, some empathy.
Yeah, but see,
you got nothing.
Mine was like, oh, Victoria's having another surgery. It was like, oh, it's Wednesday. That she's on the table again. That was, you know, after 100 surgeries, or at that point in time, like 70, that's kind of the mentality they had. Oh, she's having another surgery. But you know what? You could die on that table. You know, you could have all sorts of complications on that table. And to have that mentality, it's like, oh, you know, I don't want to get up early. I don't want to get up early to take you to your surgery where they're like doing life-threatening things or life-altering things.
Right.
None of the surgeries were cosmetic or elective. You know, oh, I don't want to get up that early. I'm not sacrificing my sleep, you know? And it's so irritating that somebody can be so selfish. I'm still pissed about the little kids. That it just is mind-boggling to me that, you know, you can take that road. But here you and I are, you know, when something happens to someone, we're, how can we help? What can we do? I mean, you know, what was so sweet, and I'm going to embarrass you for a minute. It's so sweet, as I've said this so many times, every Saturday night, Michael and Faith have daddy-daughter movie night, and they've done it for years, and I love it, love it, love it. Well, we had to like put on our big girl and big boy pants this weekend because.
Wait, who's wearing what?
You're wearing the skirt, I'm wearing the pants.
Okay.
So on Saturday, Faith had like a friendly get together with some new friends and had like a dinner thing. And then they all, except one, came back over and they were watching movies. And I watched my husband and I looked at his face. And now I'm also in the same boat, but like this is their Saturday night. And this is the very first movie night they've ever not had. And he even said to me, I'm really missing it. Like, I guess I didn't realize how much that meant to me. I knew it meant a lot to me, but I didn't realize to what extent until I didn't get to have a movie night with my kitten. And he was genuine. Don't roll your eyes at me. You were genuinely like hurt, like you really, really, really.
But it was for the happiness of our daughter.
She
So
had a great, but the thing is that I watched my husband, and it was just like such sadness because he missed my point is that you missed a movie night with her, right? A 1 hour, 2 hour movie, and you were devastated. And then you had these people we don't have a name for who cook their kids. Like, it's just, I don't understand. I don't get it.
we cannot understand that mentality, that line of thinking. We're not
It's because
there.
we're not them.
We'll never be there.
Right.
We have a heart. We have emotions. We have love. We have compassion. We will never be there.
No.
I cannot think of what apocalyptic world we would be living in for that to happen to us. It just won't happen ever. That's just she's got to be suicidal.
Oh no, I bet you she's not. She's probably in there bitching and moaning of how this has ruined her life because she's in jail. It's not about the kids. I guarantee you it's not about the kids. Like you're talking about the
Was she already sentenced?
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what it was, but it wasn't like life without parole, which it should have been. It was stupid, and she'll get out and go to behavior. But I'm trying to remember the kid who did the school shootings. He begged and begged and begged not to be put to death. Well, don't you think, you dumbass, that you should have thought about that before you took a gun to school and shot up people and you killed them and took their lives away? So why do you get to live and they don't? Right?
Right.
I mean, let's just be real for a minute. And I'm sorry. You know what? I'm not sorry I'm wound up because nobody else is taking a stance like this about it. And I have a voice and I will use it. And I'm telling you what, when he sat there in court and begged and begged and begged, please don't put me into lethal injection. Please don't kill me, please. And it's like, when your ass got up and your ass went to school, it was all premeditated. And you pulled out that gun. And you know what? I just watched where they are now putting bulletproof plates in backpacks so that kids can wear it on their back. And
just the Kevlar plate?
The plate.
Okay.
And it can protect them.
Not the whole vest.
No, it protects them from a bullet. It goes in where a laptop would go. And to know that our kids are going to school with
body armor.
Right. And then you have these morons at home. And you know what? Before anybody says anything, and I get a lot of hate mail because I know it's coming, let me tell you something right now. And if you've never listened to the show before, I'm going to say it now. If you've listened to the show before, I apologize immensely, but I'm going to say this. I know for a fact so many people say, well, it's because they were abused when they were young. And I hear that all the time. Well, tune in to Narcus Dare. Help, I'm gasping for air. Because myself and Dana Diaz, who are both survivors and thrivers, both are published authors of recovering from all sorts of different abuse. And you know what? There's a difference between leaning and using a crutch. I'm going to wait till my husband stops drinking his tea because I've had enough outright fluid dropped on me today. Faith dropped coffee on me by accident.
How many times?
Twice, picking it up out of the cup holder. And I didn't want it to go on her, so I put my arm in front of her to protect her, like a parent should.
At least the car smells good.
The car smells phenomenal, but like a parent should. But what I'm saying is the simple fact that people use that crutch. Oh, well, I was abused as a child. And so that gives me the right to be abusive as a parent. Bullshit. That's all I got to say about that. Because I grew up with narcissistic parents. My husband grew up. You put the adjective there with what?
They're the same.
Okay.
Narcissistic mom.
Right. Well, okay. And with that, we chose to break the cycle. We chose to raise our children correctly. We chose not to make them have to spend their entire adulthood recovering from their childhood. So this bullshit crutch that people send to me all the time, well, you're very judgmental because they probably were abused as a child. Well, I was, and you don't see me doing it in return. Faith can come in here right now and say, my mom has never raised her hand to me. My mom has never screamed at me. My mom has never yelled at me, never spanked me. And she is so polite and so sweet and has the best manners. And there are ways to do it because I'm telling you what you might say in the heat of the moment will stay with them the rest of their life. And that is something you can't take back. And it's not okay. It's not. It's not okay. And you know what? Me raising my voice now, right now, is something I've never done to her. I mean, if she's downstairs, I'm upstairs, I might say, Faith, I need you. That's when I raise my voice. Other than that, I don't yell at this kid. And my husband can tell you, I refuse. And I'm so cautious with what I say because I know what certain things feel like. Like when somebody says to Faith, hey, if your mom doesn't come off the OR table, oh well. I mean, there is no freaking way I would ever say that to her. There's no way. None. You know, I don't make promises to her that I can't deliver. My husband doesn't make promises to her. He can't deliver. He's staring at me like I'm a turkey dinner on Thanksgiving. I don't understand this. Why are you like staring at me?
I always stare at you, love.
This is a whole new look.
Whenever you get fired up, you're hotter than ever.
I'm sorry. I just think some people, you know how like some people need to have a, like a bumper on the front of the car, like a push bumper on the front of the car. Some people, you know, and I'm so anti-violence, but I'm not saying they need to have their head beat in because I would never say that about anybody. But I sure as shit would say lock them up, put them in solitaire, you let them drive themselves crazy. Ask me if I care because I'll tell you no. Trump, if you're listening, sir, I am ready to go help you in your cabinet because if you are going to say, seriously, like, are you kidding? You have these people.
No, I think just like with these child molesters, you know, I think that they should get their junk ripped off.
Yeah, don't just
by a machine
to do it.
Like a freaking bear trap or some type of animal trap. Just rip all their junk off.
And he's saying that, and he's a man.
Thank you for calling me a man.
I always call you a man. I call you my man.
But let the crime fit the punishment. Let the punishment fit the crime.
And now I have to do a major.
Throw her ass in the oven. Oh, that's inhumane.
That's inhumane.
Michael, why you gotta say that?
Right. That's crazy. Now we have to. I want to do a huge kudos because I was promised that my two new good friends are going to listen to this episode. So over the weekend, we had like a garage sale, and these two guys, they had to be in their late 60s.
Be nice.
They had to be in their late 60s. Oh my God. So he comes down and he's wearing a Mickey Mouse American flag shirt. Mickey Mouse is the American flag, right? I tell him I love his shirt. And immediately he just starts jaw jacking, right? Oh my God. And so my husband doesn't have the best gaydar. And
I'm sorry, what?
You don't have the best gaydar.
A gator?
Gaydar. Gaydar.
What's a gaydar?
Where you know someone is of the homosexual or lesbian side, if you're part of the community.
Okay.
So
you're probably right, I don't.
You really don't. So they were talking. And oh my, they are amazing. They were so amazing. I was so thrilled just even being around them. I don't want to say their names because I promised.
I noticed you got a little close to you.
Well, I don't want to say their names because I begged them to come on. And I said if they did, we could change their names. But they took in two boys and raised them after they were literally just left. Nowhere. Just left.
Oh, that is amazing.
That's kudos to these guys. Yeah. Now, these boys have their heads on right. They are working. I mean, one of them does have a little, intellectual stuff going on. And he's got, some needs that need to be met. Okay, I get it. But these guys are dedicated to these two. And it is so welcoming to see that. Right. So one of them is sitting beside me, the other is talking, and they're like, "Oh, we need to get our dad here. He's 87." His dad did not look 87. So, but they came back later.
He pulled up on a trike.
He pulled up on a motorcycle with the trike wheels. Right.
That was awesome.
was like, you guys came back. And he was like, oh, I had to. You're fabulous. They sat down with me. We were talking, and I said, I want to share your story. I want to shine a light on y'all because how
It's
often
an unsung hero.
do you see
Right.
a man, yet alone two men, right, who took in not one, but two, and they're not related, young men and nurtured them and took care of them and saved them. They saved them. And when I told them that, they had tears in their eyes. Like it was the sweetest thing. And he was like, you're so sweet. So somehow or another, Michael walks up and the one guy tells my husband that now I have 3 husbands and 2 are gay. And it was hilarious. It was so, I just had the best time with them. They were so great. And they were telling all these stories. And I was like, you light up when you talk about your kids. And he said, they are my kids. They're they're my kids. And it's beautiful because that's what we need more of in this world. That's what we need. And then they left. They came back with the dad. And the dad was hilarious. He couldn't believe that their sons, the son and son-in-law, picked up a wife in a garage sale. You know, and I told him, I said, you have a great son and a great son-in-law. Mm-hmm. And I said, what he's done. He's like, I know. And I said, they're amazing. And he's like, I know. And I said, okay, well, you know, and I gave them our card and I said, please stay in touch. They were amazing. I just want to give them a huge kudos because they went and did something they didn't have to do and they've done it 1,000%. And now they showed me pictures of the boys and kudos to them. So, you know, I just wanted to say that because there are people out there who actually care.
Right. And don't throw their own kids in an oven.
No.
Or in the lake, the river, whatever it was. So good. And you know, we never know who we're gonna meet out there when we tell them what we do and why we do it. You know, we come across people all the time. Even on my job, I meet approximately 50 people a week. And I meet a lot of survivors out there. I meet a lot of folks who are trying to get into podcasting. You know, you just never know. But we do give out our card a lot. And, you know, we want to hear y'all's stories. So if you have a story, come on our website and contact us. I think it's at the very bottom, says contact us, or the top right
reach
corner.
Out to us, yeah.
And let us hear from you. Now come on our show sometime.
Well, for the amputees, I am a certified amputee coalition counselor. And all these groups on Facebook and stuff for amputees in general, and I'm in a lot of them, but they're mostly all leg amputees. Like you very, very rarely see arm amputees unless it is someone that was born without an arm or they had a traumatic accident. Like it's very rare. And so one of the people we met told us that his son lost his 2 fingers, his pinky and his ring finger, on an accident with some heavy construction equipment. And now he's angry and he's an alcoholic and nobody is out there helping him. And he just has a very short temper and he's real quick to get violent. And it all happened after the amputation. And so I told him, I said, well, this is what I do. We use our voice. So my husband's going to say, I guarantee it. He's going to say, of course you did. So I went and created another group and it's called Gotta Hand It to You.
Seriously?
What?
Like you need anything else on your plate.
It's called Gotta Hand It to You.
Of course it is.
And it's from A Contagious Smile. And it's going to be a group that is for arms and hands. And it is going to be a place.
The lack thereof.
Right. It's going to be arm and hand amputations. And it's going to be a place of laughter and support and empathy and stories and suggestions and secrets of the trade. And it's just going to be great. So if you go to Facebook and you go look that up, gotta hand it to you, you can join in this group. I want to start leading a support group in this just for that. And like I said, if you have other amputations, you can reach out to me in any way you find me because I am certified through the amputee.
Oh, it's not hard. It's not hard to find you. You're like everywhere.
I know. It's like Visa. Everywhere you want.
Victoria Curate. Everywhere.
So Yes. But you got to do something because I've got to like decompress because I'm still so irate. To read that article, I had to keep coming back because it literally just. And I also want to thank another lady who came up and said she read my book and she couldn't believe that it was me, that it was, the real story of what happened. And she really made my day telling me I was a great writer, which that meant the world to
I
me.
heard that several times.
And it's the fact that I've written these things to help other people, to give them the understanding they're not alone. But it meant a lot to me about that. But I really wish and really am considering finding a way to get tougher on these laws, how I can help, how we can make a movement to make this happen. Because, you can't just Casey Anthony. I knew it was gonna drive me nuts, so I figured it out. She killed her daughter. She was a freaking gorgeous girl. Gorgeous. And next thing you know, oh, she's now engaged or whatever the case may be, and now she wants to have another baby, and it's just not right. And then you have people that would do anything to have kids and they can't. So having a baby is not just a tax write-off. It's not a deduction on your taxes. It's not, a way to survive or, trap a man or take his money in child support or whatever the case is. And I know 1,000,000% not everybody's like that. Not everybody's like that. I'm not saying that they are. But we have met a few. We really, really have.
And it's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
To actually take care of in your house a child who has special needs, conditions, and that is bedridden, and all you do is collect the check, and check on that kid
once a day, twice a day, maybe.
Right. And they
We've gone to their home and
and
seen them.
complain about when they have to get their bedding changed, their diaper.
Well, how about changing their diaper more than once a day?
Wow.
We went to that house, remember? Because we donated cases and cases and cases of stuff for them. And we were just dumbfounded by this. But it's more often, than a lot of people think. It really is, and it's heartbreaking.
Mm. So yes, y'all be sure to check out Narc Narc, Who's There? Help, I'm Guessing for Air. It's a series my wife and Dana's been doing for a couple months now.
Yes, and we started doing question and answer sessions, and we've gotten to I think we've gotten through 3 pages, but I have 50 pages of questions. Every time someone's written into us, we've written the questions down. And then we've asked for people to tell us about a situation they've been in and how they overcame it. And we're shining light on their stories too. So we're kind of mixing it up now with the question and answer and then talking about how somebody else handled a situation, what that situation was, and how they overcame it. So maybe all these little nuggets kind of help out and give them insights.
And it's linked on the website?
It's everywhere. And, just in the last couple of shows alone, we had over 10 million.
Wow.
And that's shocking. No, I mean, it's, Dana's fabulous. Don't get me wrong. She's my ride or die girl. But the thing is, it's scary how many people need to know about this subject and don't have a voice. We hear that all the time. Nobody's our voice. Nobody's talking about this, and we're afraid to for retaliation. And we understand that. But we hate that all these people are going through it. I mean, I've met some of the most amazing people, and I wouldn't have met them had they not had to endure this.
Right.
And it's much more common than people think, but it's always behind closed doors.
Yeah, often you speak of the statistics, and that's only what's reported.
Right. It's only what's reported. Because I hear all the time, why isn't he in jail? Why isn't he, this, that, whatever, Our judicial system sucks. Period. It sucks. Not only that, but they also, you went to court with me, they also re-assault I hate the word victim. They re-assault the individual on the stand because you know what? But it's not us. We don't have the burden of proof. They have to prove that they are innocent. They need to prove that they did or did not do what.
And often it's turned around.
It is. What did you do to make him mad? Why did you do this? Do what he wanted, and he wouldn't have had to do this to you. If you knew he had a temper, why didn't you leave? Well, when you can't access anything to leave and you don't even have car keys, what are you supposed to do? Until you walk in those shoes, you cannot answer that question. I did, and again, I've said this before in some of my interviews that I've been on, is one time I was doing a speaking engagement and I had someone answer a question. It was a group that I did with a bunch of other women. And somebody said to me, well, she deserved it. She stayed. And I asked for an extra moment of time by our narrator. And I was told, of course, and I said, let me ask you a question. God forbid you get cancer. God forbid. And you have a brain tumor, right? God forbid. Are you going to go to a podiatrist? And she's like, why would I go to a foot doctor? Okay. But you wouldn't, right? You want the specialist. You want to know who knows what's going on, who's been there and really knows it inside and out, right? Yes. Okay. Well, when you're critiquing your daughter saying she deserved it because she stayed, she's not a podiatrist. She is a brain surgeon and she knows the in and out and she knows how to get out and survive. Because when they get really heated, that's the most dangerous. It's also the most dangerous call for a law enforcement officer to respond to is a domestic violence call. And when you sit there and you run your mouth and talk about how they deserve it because they stayed, get your head out of your ass and help. Instead, why don't you be a support? If you don't think you have the right tools of your mouth to verbalize what is needed, offer to just sit with them. Say, my hand is here if you want to take it. Don't reach over and try to grab them. They have that done enough.
Sure.
Just say, I'm here. You're not alone. Offer a place to survive. Say, you want to come stay with me for a while, or I'll be your emergency. If, give me a code word. And if you call me, I'll come get you. Or, you've gotten to where you are now once before. Let's get you out of there and start it over. That's where I come in. I will help you. I'll do a lot of recommendation. I'll help you look for jobs. I'll help, listen and we go through all this. And my husband's looking at me like this again. But
because you need more on your plate.
But this is what I do. And
I know.
I want people to know they're not alone because when I went through this, I was alone and I was pregnant and I went through this beaten half to death. And I went through this in the beginning when she was born in a wheelchair because I almost lost my leg. And, I'm still to this day going through surgeries because what I said to the surgeons is if it's not life threatening, leave it alone because I have to get to my kid and I have to take care of her. And until things are in order where we're safe, I'm going to have to live with a dislocated shoulder. I had it set all the time. It slid right back out because it was so damaged. The joints in my jaw got literally run down to nothing. And it was the skull, the bones literally grinding on each other. That was all that was left were just bones grinding. And the thing is that, Faith was coding every day. She had seizures every day. And we had to put a tracheostomy in. And when you have a trach as a small child, you're inaudible unless you go through and do the passing mirror valve, which we didn't do at that point yet because her airway was so small. We had mandibular distractions times two, and I had to crank those and just everything that had to be done. As a mom who cares, I came second, she came first. So everything about her was first. And I would do it again a million times over because that's how you're supposed to be as a parent. And so I waited years and I openly admitted in court and I openly admit it now when I'm interviewed that my injuries did get worse because I waited to get them fixed. And
Right.
I'm not saying I had to have jaw replacement and 1,000% his fault. It is 999 points his fault because I wouldn't have had to have him replaced if he didn't shatter my face and my eardrums. I wouldn't be deaf if I hadn't had my eardrums ruptured numerous times, right? But because I chose to take care of Faith and do like osteocentesis, where they would just go in with these horrific needles into the joints and quote unquote wash the area, it was a band-aid over and over again, and then I had to have discs removed and all this. It was a slow process because I couldn't do the whole thing back when we had 25 appointments a week and all of this and that. So I made that choice because I'm here and my number one priority at that point was Faith's survival and thriving in life. And so everything else had to wait. And that's what I chose to do.
And if y'all want to get the rest of that story over her 8 months of hell, y'all go to Amazon and pick up her book, Who Kicked First by Victoria Cure.
Well, the book was actually almost 700 and something pages, but I took a lot of it out because it's Faith's story to tell. I had so much about the NICU situation in there, but I took so much of that out because that's not what the book is about. The book is about, the day in and day out of domestic violence and nobody believing you and everybody making you out to be the liar. And, they would interrogate you and, oh, he broke your nose. Okay, well, what was he wearing? What time of day was it? What day of the week was it? What was the weather like? What were you wearing? What direction were you sitting in your vehicle? What direction was the vehicle? Where were you sitting in the car? Where were your hands? These are all questions that I got just bombarded with, And the thing is, and I think you would agree as a former officer, if I could say, let's say I was sitting northwest facing more west, my hands were at 10 and 3, I was wearing, I don't know, and I answered every single question, then you really have red flags because nobody recalls the details of that, right? They asked me, who was around? Who did you see geographically around you when this transpired? What were they wearing? Were they on the phone? Were they smoking? Were they wearing their cover? Were they wearing BDUs or ACUs? I don't know. My face was busted wide ass open and I was bleeding everywhere. I don't know. I can tell you what it felt like to have blood drop from my nose into my mouth. I can tell you how wet it was down my chin and all over my suit. I can tell you that. I can tell you. Well, how'd you know you were in a suit? Because I just came from work and it was a weekday.
So I'll give you another example while you take a sip of tea.
Thank you. He's telling me to shut.
As a cop, I never understood when I talked to the victims. Okay, not domestic violence victims, but the victims of these crimes. And I would say, okay, did you see the gun? Yes, and put it right in my face. Can you describe the gun? And they'll describe this larger than life gun.
Because at that moment it was.
Their perception at that time was that big ass gun. Okay. And I never ever understood how I've got lots of guns. Okay.
We have lots of guns.
Between my wife and I, we have lots of guns. Okay. We can name the guns. We know the shapes of them. We know the sizes. But that's because we've become familiar with them over the years, and not every victim out there has that same access. I did not understand what they were saying until I knocked on or I had my rookie in training knock on a door, and the first thing that came out of the door was the barrel of a gun pointed at the head of my rookie officer. And I now to this day, that gun was larger than life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that happens to be out of the 6.5 years I spent on that department, that happened to be the scariest day of my life. When someone pointed a gun at someone I was responsible for. And I put him there in front of that door on a everyday call, loud disturbance, noise, complaint, everyday call, get them hundreds of times a day. And when that gun came out and it went straight at my partner's head, everything flashed through in your mind.
Now tell me, what did you do?
In a split second is all you have time to do anything and to think.
Not just as an officer, but as the person in the situation.
Right.
Has a split second.
I have me to think of, my life, and his life. Okay. When I saw that gun, okay, which if y'all are interested, it turned out to be a small Glock. Okay. But at the time it was huge.
Right. So what did you do at that moment?
At that moment, I immediately yelled gun, drew my weapon as I was walking backwards with my partner in tow, and we found cover behind two huge oak trees. Okay, not just concealment, but we found cover and called it in. We made multiple arrests in that house. Multiple guns were confiscated, and several huge bags of marijuana was taken out of a locked closet. So it was good. It was a good arrest. It was, like I said, the scariest moment of being a cop. And I've been in high speed chases. Uh, I've been, sitting at the back door of a gun shop where the suspect had went through the AC and the top and had access to unlimited firearms, and could have came out the back door with anything. Um, I've been in foot chases, but just being responsible for somebody's life and to know it could have been over in a split second.
Well, now let me ask you this, and we've talked about this a lot, but now that you talked about this, you came with me to court, and I'm not going to talk about the fact I don't know what happened when you took him to the bathroom, even though I still want to know. Oh, you came with me and you sat beside me in court, and you even said to me that I looked empty inside, like I looked hollow. I wasn't the Victoria you knew and loved. And when you came in there, and I was petrified because I was worried about you hearing things you didn't know and didn't know about and judging me over them. And you sat there, and what was ironic is I said to you, and I'm sure you probably don't remember this, I said to you, he's here. And you looked around and you were like, what? And I said, he's here. And you had already met him before this. And not even 30 seconds later, he comes in the courtroom doors and he walked in and he sat like adjacent to us and he kept trying to stare me down. How did you feel? Because you were sitting there and you were sitting there as an officer, you were in uniform. Not only were you in there as an officer, you were in there to help give me sense of protection, but you were there for me you were my best friend. You were everything to me, but we weren't together at that point. How did you feel as a man or as an officer sitting there beside me in that situation? Because I know that for a man going to that situation to court, how would somebody else feel going and supporting a person, maybe a brother or somebody else who is going to court to support somebody who's just gone through it?
Back then, it would have not have been very difficult to say, I would have been pissed. I would have been angry, and looking for a hole, you know, hoping that he's not found guilty so that we could, fill in that hole. But, wow, that was like, 20 years ago? Almost 20 years ago?
Yeah.
It's a long time. And, don't forget I'm old. I have a horrible memory. But, to this day, we have a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions for that type of evil. And our listeners, they're gonna get your book, they're gonna read it, Who Keeps First, and they're gonna see what type of monster is out there. And maybe they know someone who's been through something similar.
Yeah, but
So
just now that you're who you are to us, to me, and to Faith, and you've seen not all, but a majority of the pictures that were of evidence. And every time you look at them, you can't look at them long. Like you don't look at them long. And this is someone who's had a career in law enforcement, and you don't, And then you and I talked about things that nobody really knows that happened that is not in the book. But what is your advice as a man, yet alone an officer, which isn't really like what I'm going with that, and how you can be there for that person who's gone through it and help them, because you went through it too, but you went through it in a totally different way. How can you be there for your partner? Like when you've gone through it, we talk, like for instance, I listen and I talk to you and I tell you that I never want to see you hurt. And I want you to always be happy. And I just want you to have the life you deserve to have. And when you're going through something, I try to get you to talk to me about it and not, compress it down and bottle it up.
You say men do that.
You do, but then you open up and tell me everything. I mean, we tell each other absolutely everything all the time. And we don't hide anything from one another. But how can you support someone going through this as a man?
You've got to be patient. That's one thing I've learned with you over these years. I have to be patient. I can't just rip the band-aid off, so to speak, or just throw open the door and say, okay, here's the outside world. Now go get them, Hoss. You have to be patient and allow that person to, traverse each baby step, in their own time. And I think I've done pretty well with you. I get a little pushy at times. What?
A little?
A little.
A
A
little?
little. Don't get your daughter in here.
Oh, now she's my daughter.
Right. Because you know whose side she be on.
Not. She's always on my side. That's just what I'm saying is that you need support. You need understanding. And to the people who don't support you, do not understand. They want to say you deserved it because you stayed. You know what? Don't even send them a Christmas card. Don't send them a holiday card. Don't send them nothing. Because you know what? That's about what they deserve. Because if this happened to them, you better believe it'd be a whole different scenario. It really, really would. And they would just be milking it for everything, and I can't. I've never been like, oh, and I think you would agree. I've never been feel bad for me. Look what I went through. We had these big crates, and I'm really hoping my son is not listening to this. We had big crates for the garage sale full of books, and I'm picking them up, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I need to move it." And I don't have a prosthetic arm on. I'm just using my nub. Please don't let my surgeon be listening.
You're in pain, constantly spasming nub.
But it's strong.
Right.
It is. You say my nub is very strong. But I pick up stuff because I don't want things done for me. I don't want people to be, oh, I feel so bad for her. Let me do this. Or, I learned how to tie my shoes one-handed.
You did.
And, it's like.
I wipe my own ass and everything.
But it's literally, it's tough. And you want to do everything for yourself. And then, I guarantee one of these assholes that, oh, you stayed, so you deserve it. If they got slapped, I mean, I was told constantly I would never let a man hit me. No man would ever put their hand on me. Never. And this is what I grew up with, was hearing this. Well, you know what? Light bulb, guess who put this son of a bitch in my life? Let's think about that for a minute. What do you do to protect your child? How far will you go to protect your child? And then you have the end of this, which is I literally went to death's door numerous times to protect Faith. And then you have momos out there that cook their kids. I'm just saying.
I think you just blew 50 eardrums.
Well, then they can feel how I.
What, deaf?
Yes.
You have the option where your hearing aids.
What?
You choose. Don't plagiarize.
Plagiarize?
Plagiarize.
It's so cute.
So, I took you out the other night, woman.
I'm coming out from the podcast.
Took you out to dinner. Like a good husband. After a long day of yard selling.
And we went with our neighbor, who's a hoot.
Oh my gosh.
While we sat across from the group.
You better be listening, woman.
Yeah.
I won't mention your name.
Yeah.
But she wants a date with somebody.
I'm going to tell her you just said that on air. And she is going to have a fit. I'm going to tell her you did it.
She's an old hippie.
She's not a hippie.
She's a hippie.
And she's not old. She's
not as old as I am.
She's older than you.
Well, see, there you go. She's a hippie.
She's not a hippie.
I was born in the 70s.
She's not a hippie.
If she's older than me, she's older than 60s.
I'm telling her right now, you better close.
All right, y'all. Be sure to check out the books, Who Kicked First, and Nark, who's there. Check out Victoria and Dana's sessions on Knock Who's There, gasping, help I'm gasping for air. I just slaughtered it, didn't I?
You did.
Oh, well. Are you texting her?
Yes.
Don't text her.
Yes, I am.
I'm always in trouble, y'all. Y'all help Michael. He's always in trouble. Thank y'all for listening to Unstoppable with Victoria and myself. And y'all are not graced with Grace present tonight because she's probably down there.
With Grace's presence.
I mean,
Faith.
Good night, y'all.
I am telling her too.
Oh, Lord. Click the button.